chasing, we're trying to get clips when we're like viral. We're trying to get viral clips. We're trying to get...
Because that's how you spread your name. If not, nobody really knows about you.
100%. And if I didn't do any of the crazy fucking shit I did in Japan, if I didn't do any of that stuff, nobody knows who the fuck I was. Or, you know what I mean? If I didn't get arrested in Japan or in Korea or in Israel or, you know what I mean?
Well, you had the situations in Thailand too, with Burger Planet when you made the shirt.
I would
had a lot of those situations too.
I had, Burger Planet picked me up and threw me into a koi fish pond.
Yeah, I know.
And Eddie was watching live. And Eddie's laughing his ass off watching the shit. You know what I mean? So end of the day, we're trying to make content. And the one thing I'm happy that we sat down today is that I want more people to see this human side of me. I want more people to see that I'm really just a young person. I'm just trying. I'm misguided. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to have a second chance to come back to kick or just have a second wind. And I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like I should be blackballed on the level of Nick Fuentes. Like, it's fucking crazy.
But here's the thing, though. You can't say you're misguided when you've had people reach out to you and say, hey, brother, you should tone it down a little bit for the rest of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because they've tried to speak to you, but you just, out the other ear, you're like,
I think
gotta
in
be
my own personal experience, I've had people sit me down and tell me that too, especially people who are like, in a more stable position than I was in the film business, or like smarter, more experienced than I was, and I was young. And I was like, no, I know better. I'm gonna do it my way because like I only know one way to do it, and that's my way.
Yeah.
I feel like I was kind of like that. I'm kind of like, I know how to go viral. I know how to I have hundreds of millions of views on Twitter and YouTube, but at some point, Sus was telling me this. Yo, Johnny, if it's not paying you, like if you're not getting money from this going viral shit, why are you doing it? That's why Sus always tried to tell me that. And I feel like I should have listened to Sus at some point in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of people definitely shit on Sam, but Sam does have like good intentions when he talks to people and he tries to give genuine advice.
I don't think
he gave me some great advice. He when he watched the Mr. Bass documentary.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No. No, when he watched the Mr. Bass documentary, he said the thumbnail on this sucks. You got to make the thumbnail look more like a real movie. This looks like a compilation video. You gotta, for your future videos, make sure the thumbnail looks like legit as fuck.
Yeah.
Because your work is legit as fuck and it has to reflect that.
Yeah.
And the thumbnail in the Mold Mansion documentary, I put a lot more time into, and people loved that thumbnail. I got a lot of good comments about it. And like, I think like, there's a lot to be said about like, I've been given advice a lot of times on the internet by different people who know a lot. And a lot of the time I don't want to take it because I'm like, well, they don't know my special brand of me like I do. But then you sometimes do take that advice and it helps you and you're like, well, maybe I need to incorporate this into my strategy.
100%. If I could go back in time, I'd do that.
It's the process of getting older and it's the process of making the same mistakes, or at least in my case, having made the same mistakes over and over again and then being like, okay, I don't want to keep doing this.
And that's where I'm at now. And if I'm able to get a ban on kick and have a second win, I'm definitely going to take the advice to tone things down and just make normal IRL content. Because you know what I mean? I feel like not just normal, but let people call nonsense. At this point, I'm ready to just make nonsense. Because I feel like I've done so many crazy things all over the fucking world. You know what I mean? If you want the old Johnny, you can watch that. I really would like to have a second win and have a second chance. Come back to kick. I want to, bro. I really would love it.
Well, the thing too that people have to like understand is like, at some point it evolves naturally into nonsense because you naturally mature.
Yeah.
So like your perspective on everything changes. Like, how did you say you were?
24.
24. Once you hit 25, it switches. Like it's the weirdest thing. 24 3/4. Something just starts clicking in your mind, just starts switching.
For me, I was like 26 or 27. I was telling you, I dated this girl for like 8 years, and I like moved to Chicago for her, and then we broke up. And I was like, and it was around the time that I had my first video my first video really like blow up, and like I told my girlfriend about it at the time, and she was like, I don't care. I was like, what the fuck do you mean you don't care? You always ask me to care about your dumb bullshit. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what, like, fuck this. And I went back to New York and I started, like, really investing in my shit, like, hardcore, and, like, treating it in a really mature way, not like a hobby, but, like, it's my real thing. Yeah. And then it started to become my real thing. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, it's hard on the internet to, like, reach that point where you like break through.
That pinnacle, yeah.
And like even sometimes you see people break through and then they lose it somehow. And Johnny's someone who I think is so special because you've broken through so many times, but it's never benefited you.
No.
It's never benefited you financially.
No.
It's never benefited you socially.
No.
And usually when people break through like that, it really does benefit them. And so like the question calls of like, well, why keep going back? I think is something that we'll touch on a lot. And why fight that fight? Because people say choose your battles. And I'm in the same camp as you of like, I'll fight every battle that I know I can win.
And I feel like I'm fighting not only a battle against myself because I don't want to give up, but also there's so many millions of people that are like wanting to see me like destroyed or my life have a total downfall and spiral and like truly having enjoyment from that. And I feel like if you're gonna be entertained by me, I'm at least gonna give you a show. You know what I mean? It's gonna be content regardless for my audience, for whoever's watching. It's gonna be entertaining. Somebody was telling me on a Twitter space the other day, like the best content I ever seen was when you got your ass beat. I was like, at least you're entertained by it,
I get that all the time.
I told them
they say the best content I ever had was when Base hit me in the head, and you screamed like a bitch, and I say, somebody help, this person's attacking me!
Yeah. That shit still funny to me to this day.
No, we were screaming that in the car on the way over here.
At least entertained, right? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
That's what I feel like sometimes. I hope things get better. I really do.
I think they will, man. I hope that this whole thing like marks a turning point for you, and that you can look back on this time eventually and be like, God, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah. Because even Ice at the time, Mondo, you know Ice a long time ago.
Yeah,
he used to be crazy as fuck in 2016.
I've been around him since.
He's 28 now.
He's older. I think he's 30. He's actually older.
No, he's 28.
He's 28? Oh, okay. So
28, 29, I'm 32, and I've known Paul since 2016 before the first Trump election.
So there was a time where Ice was crazy as fuck. He was losing sponsors. He was losing platforms.
Yeah.
He was perma-banned on Twitch, exiled by all the Twitch streamers, all the ex-Twitch streamers that used to be his friend, Ms. Kip, everybody abandoned him, switched up on him. But I feel like this. I know Ice, of course, at first is a businessman. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody else. In some ways, in the social media business, in this game, you have to care about you and your own brand and your IP. And I feel like I don't really give a fuck about that. So that's why I have the consequences I've had financially from this. But I wish Ice would look at it and be like, yo, this motherfucker is going through the same shit that happened to me on Twitch. Like, it's just switch the platform to Kick. Yeah. I get deplatformed from Kick. Everybody's shunning me and saying I'm the worst. It's the same shit that happened to him. I don't know why he doesn't see the hypocrisy.
The difference is, though, hold on, but the difference between you and Paul, though, is when Paul was streaming on Twitch, yeah, he innovated IRL, so because he was the biggest IRL streamer on the platform, a lot of people gravitated to him in order to kind of help also build their names. But the thing that made Paul's situation different than yours is that Paul literally had people extorting him for money, and because he chose not to pay the money, they were doxing him, they were swatting him constantly, they did the bomb threat. So when they did that, sure, Paul kind of fucked up by saying, oh, I'm going to live stream at the airport terminal, this is my gate. Like, that was a little dumb. Yeah. But because he was being extorted, he had this one guy in Europe that was like basically fucking him over. Bomb threat situation happened. He lost his chance at a career on Twitch, moved to YouTube. Then he got another deal with LiveMe. So like, there were things that were happening there, but at the same time, the difference though between you and Paul is that he literally had like some fucked up people trying to extort him for money constantly. And if he didn't pay, and then eventually he stopped like giving a fuck about it. But those were the people that were calling in the bomb threats. Those were the people that were swatting him 6-7 times a stream a day, led him to PTSD. You know what I mean? And then that's kind of like where he started declining because it just fucks your head so much.
But I'm saying with the more my angle is with the cancel culture stuff.
Yeah,
he got canceled on Twitch. All the Twitch streamers avoided him, shunned him.
I would say people,
you know what I mean?
But it's the same thing.
But he's doing the same thing to me. But why?
Well, I would say outside of this, as someone who like sees most people who like, don't know anything about streaming, all they know about Ice is that he's a bad person. Like if if you ask people who don't know anything about streaming who Ice Poseidon is, they're like, all I know is that he's a really bad guy. And that was all I knew. That was all I knew about Ice. I was like, oh, he's just this really bad streamer. I don't know anything about him other than that he's bad.
Yeah.
But then I got to meet this like amazing community of all these people who have all been kind of knighted by him. And I'm like, well, is he bad, or is people's perception of him bad because he's created something that's bigger than himself? And a lot of the times on the internet, when you create a community or you're behind something that has such minutia, you're looked at as like an evil person.
He's created a legion of Andys that are globalizing, that are globally taking over the world.
Yeah, and it's what's funny is I never.
Some in Mexican Andy and some in Andy with the homeless tent. Here comes Burger Planet with a couple burgers and a Gucci jacket or a Versace jacket.
And now you have this little 5'4" Somalian midget terrorizing all of Asia and the Middle East. And
I think I could say, like, I also do see what you're referring to about, you know, you and Paul being very similar.
At least at the beginning, the edgy
no.
is edgy.
What I'm saying is, I can see what you're referring to from my perspective of you and Paul being similar, because when Paul did get banned on Twitch, nobody could have him on the stream, so he would get banned. Same thing with you and Kick. If you pop up on somebody's stream that's big and Kick is watching, that person gets banned. So it's like easy, like the people that stream knowing you're banned want to stay away because they don't want to risk being banned and losing their money.
But the thing is, the rule on Kick is I can actually be on any Kick stream, but I cannot be the main focus. So like if you like Mondo, if you're live right now, because I'm the main focus right now, you probably get banned. Yeah. But if we're outside hanging out, you can stream with me. That's not a problem. But like if you go to the bathroom or something, this happened with being homeless in Colombia. Yeah. I cannot be holding your camera, like talking to your chat, like, you know what I mean? I can't take over your stream. But me being in the group is actually not against the Kick rules, apparently.
But the thing is that people don't want to explore that, and pick and choose for sure. I mean,
but the other level is this: Ice is literally telling people, if you even message Johnny on Instagram, if you hang out with him off stream, if you're friends with him, I will destroy your career.
Do you think that that's Ice's sentiment, or do you think that that's Kick higher up saying, please try to avoid any controversy related to Johnny Somali, and then Ice takes that and is like, nobody mentioned him, and he's actually like Barbara Streisanding you into...
It could be. I don't know. It's just propaganda. This because
there goes my career. I'm done.
Listen, what happened?
No, I'm saying how you were like, oh, if anybody hangs out with him, I'm destroying their career. There goes my fucking career.
No, I mean, I'm gonna talk to Ice about a lot of this stuff. It's a really interesting. The thing is like, Paul wants to have these type of conversations. He wants to have like a conversation where someone asks him legitimate questions instead of talking about the same like 5 things that they always talk about. And I think like what it takes is someone approaching this in a mature and like educated way, and that's why you're involved. It's because I don't know enough about IRL, and I've made the mistake on 2 of my docs covering IRL that I, didn't have someone who was an expert on my producing team, and you're great for that. You're just as knowledgeable about camera gear and camera equipment as you are about IRL, and you're like a sounding board for all of the ideas that I can do here. And also you're like just very, very important to the project. And like Ice should understand that you're much more important to me making this documentary.
Accurately.
That I'm serious. You're much more important to me making this documentary than you are to just like going on your own stream and fucking around for a couple hours. Like, it's just immensely more important, like, that I have somebody who's able to like call the shots in that way and hold me accountable. Because like the problem with my productions is that like I'm the editor and I'm the director and I'm the one who's asking all the interview questions. And a lot of the times stuff falls through the cracks because I have a lot of moving parts and I have to communicate with producers back in New York and make sure that everything's like kosher.
Kosher?
No, that's the movie business,
man.
Is it kosher? It's the movie business. And like, I want to do this right. And the Mole Mansion documentary I did right, but only by the skin of my teeth. And there's a lot more at stake.
Yeah.
There's a fucking dude's freedom at stake.
Yeah.
And like, I want to get this out to like American media. I don't want this to just be a YouTube thing. I want people to see this and be like, oh shit, here's a U.S. citizen who's being held against their rights. And like, in America, this would never happen. In America, if you were doing something that was considered being a nuisance, you might get trespassed.
The police will come to, like, if I spilled a couple noodles in 7-Eleven in New York, and clean.
I don't think the cops would do that. No, they just would not show up for that.
I don't think twerking on the subway in New York. Are you kidding me? Like, there's people. There's someone got set on fire in the subway in New York. And the police with the interrogator, they were interrogating.
It's different in Asia. I learned this when I was. I didn't realize how different it was. I was on the airplane coming over here last night, and I was so stoned when I got on the plane because I smoke a lot of weed and I'm not able to smoke when I'm here. So I was like, I'm gonna take a fat edible. I went and I sat in the wrong seat. And this Korean woman came up and she was so upset and she started yelling at the stewardess and she started gagging and pointing at me. And I didn't smell or anything because I took an edible. And I didn't smell like BO or anything either because I just showered. She was just so disgusted that like a white dude sat in her seat, like a non-Korean person sat in her seat.
Yeah,
and they they were like mean to me the whole flight. They didn't give me any food. They didn't give me any water the whole flight. And they just like the Korean stewardesses just kept glaring at me. And they're